She is about to leave her native family. This is an important moment, as in her culture a woman must leave her family to start a new life. Despite the significance of the step, she leaves her loved ones with sadness. It is especially hard to leave her mother's old father, the great bison. He was old, painfully weak, and she cared for him. She believed others could take care of him just as well. In her Neanderthal world, the image is often associated with ugly and primitive creatures, and women are depicted particularly poorly. Neanderthal women seem dirty, unwashed, squat, and bearded. However, these are just stereotypes that do not reflect the truth. In reality, she was physically stronger than a modern human, possessing strong muscles and the strength of a cave bear. She could easily break bones, such as the arms of modern people, thanks to her colossal strength and endurance. Strength was an important trait, since Neanderthals hunted large animals, which was more important than a slim waist. The brain of a Neanderthal woman was about 10% larger than that of a modern human, giving her an advantage. Thanks to the brain size, she could better perceive the world, for example, finding traces of water drops in a river even if they had disappeared. Her vision allowed her to recognize unique patterns on tree bark, which helped her navigate in nature. Scientists believe that Neanderthals had the beginnings of religion and symbolism. They left us traces of such signs, for example, one known as the Neanderthal hashtag. Perhaps Neanderthals did not manage to develop the level of Cro-Magnon technology. However, they were surprisingly resilient, living on Earth 200,000 years longer. They had a distinctive appearance, a massive jaw, huge eyes significantly larger than those of modern humans, and a wide nose to support powerful muscles. Neanderthals lived in a harsher climate than Cro-Magnons. They were short, about 1 meter tall, but incredibly strong and muscular. Their bodies were built to survive. Their physical form could rival even a modern athlete with enormous endurance and strength. An interesting hypothesis suggests that Neanderthals were the source of light hair and skin in modern humans, unlike the dark-skinned ancestors of Cro-Magnons. Neanderthals likely had a light skin tone, red or light hair. Their members were shorter in height, about 1 meter 80 centimeters. There are known projects where artists depicted how these ancient people might have looked, showing a slender physique and distinctive external features. These images help better understand how Neanderthals looked and which body and facial features helped them survive. Thus, Neanderthals were unique beings with their own culture, biological features, and an important place in human history. Imagine what modern celebrities would look like if their ancestors were Neanderthals. For example, Robert Pattinson, Neil Craig, Brad Pitt, and Marilyn Monroe. The Rouar family consisted of several people: mother, older brother, sisters, father. Great Zur was the head of the family. They lived in a cozy cave where they kept each other warm. Many generations of their ancestors lived together, supporting each other in harsh conditions. Neanderthals were distinguished by high family values and strong bonds. Neanderthal families were often compact, consisting of small groups. Although their population numbered several 100,000, they were scattered over a vast territory. The territories they occupied covered modern Europe and Asia. Despite the dispersion, their families maintained close ties and a patriarchal structure. There was an interesting feature in Neanderthal family life. Women moved into their husbands' families, indicating signs of patriarchy. This discovery was confirmed by scientists who studied the remains of ancient Neanderthals found in Spain. Their analysis provided important information about the social structure. One of the vivid archaeological examples of family life was found in a cave in Spain. There, the remains of 12 people were discovered. These people became victims of cannibals, and then the cave collapsed, forever hiding the remains. This tragic event helped scientists learn a lot. Thanks to this burial, scientists were able to reconstruct not only their death but also imagine how they lived as families. This burial of an entire family confirmed that Neanderthals lived in small family groups consisting of about 8 people. It was established that all the men in the group were relatives, while the women came from different families, confirming patriarchy. This discovery supports the hypothesis that women left their families upon reaching sexual maturity. Furthermore, it became known that Neanderthals matured much faster than modern humans, with a birth interval of only 3 to 4 years. Archaeologists also found signs of inbreeding among Neanderthals, as their population was very small and genetic diversity extremely low. Most Neanderthals were close relatives due to a limited social circle and small population size. An interesting fact: Rouar's mother was already very old when she was just over 30, highlighting the rapid aging of Neanderthals. Neanderthals had a much shorter lifespan compared to modern humans. Her father, Great Bison, was old, almost completely lost the ability to live independently, and needed constant care. Despite this, he was a respected member of the family as a shaman and healer, and his longevity became a source of pride for his descendants. Once, when Rouar was little, he sacrificed himself to save her during a hunt. After the hunt, he lost his right hand, could barely walk, was blind in one eye, and had poor hearing. Nevertheless, Neanderthals were not only physically strong, but also surprisingly sensitive, capable of love and care. Scientists came to this conclusion by studying the remains and behavioral signs of Neanderthals. In the Shanidar cave in Iraq, a very old Neanderthal was found, whose age was about 50 years, which was almost an incredible achievement for them. His bones were so worn that their condition corresponded to the gray 80s of a modern human, indicating a long and hard life. This man was severely damaged. He lost a hand, was blind and deaf, could not take care of himself, but he was continuously fed and cared for until his death. These findings prove that Neanderthals, despite harsh living conditions, showed care and love, supporting their elders and the sick, even if they were helpless. This indicates that even in the harshest conditions, they supported relatives and showed the highest humanity, which was important for their social life. Anthropologists have hypothesized that the extinction of Neanderthals is linked to a shortage of elderly people, grandmothers and grandfathers, who could pass on life experience and help the young. Older generations provided population stability by teaching and raising the younger ones, and their absence may have played a role in the disappearance of Neanderthals. Cro-Magnons had many more elderly people who played an important role in raising and educating the youth, which contributed to their survival and development. Despite a harsh life, Neanderthals showed care and love, indicating a deep social structure and humanity, even in ancient times. The physical strength and endurance of Neanderthals could not withstand natural disasters and climate changes in the last tens of thousands of years. Their numbers rapidly declined. This may have been related to a shortage of the older generation and difficulties adapting to new conditions, which worsened their survival in a changing world. The situation was different for Cro-Magnons. Thanks to a greater number of grandmothers and grandfathers, elderly people passed on knowledge and helped raise grandchildren. This contributed to improved survival and led to a demographic revolution that allowed Cro-Magnons to endure harsh conditions and take a dominant position. Studies show that Neanderthals had extremely low genetic diversity, which could also have been a cause of their extinction. Inbreeding was common among them due to limited numbers, which exacerbated genetic problems. Despite this, Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons continued to actively interact with each other, including intimate relationships. This interaction left a mark on the genome of modern humans. For example, all non-Africans carry about 2% of Neanderthal genes. In some regions of Asia and Oceania, this percentage can reach 5%, confirming close ties between branches of humanity. Today, scientists assert that Cro-Magnons, Neanderthals, and Denisovans were closely related and interacted in the past. Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons did not just coexist, they actively interacted. Their relationships were sometimes romantic or intimate. Scientists have proven that love existed between these species. Despite differences, they engaged in reproductive activities. However, mixed offspring could face viability issues, complicating their survival and adaptation to new conditions. Some hypotheses suggest that descendants of such unions, especially males, were infertile. This may have contributed to the disappearance of Neanderthals, despite regular contact between species. Low genetic diversity and inability to adapt to changing conditions likely became the main factors in Neanderthal extinction. These reasons overlap with biological problems of the offspring. Modern scientists acknowledge that Neanderthal civilization was much more complex than previously thought. Archaeologists have found diverse tools requiring logical thinking and the ability to create implements. Research shows that Neanderthal speech might have resembled musical phrases rather than modern language. This discovery highlights their unique and complex way of communication. Neanderthals were not primitive beings. Despite differences from modern humans, they possessed advanced thinking and complex social skills. Cro-Magnons created jewelry, engaged in art, and treated diseases using plants and herbs. Their skills were diverse and astonishing for that time. In the Elsdrone cave in Spain, traces of natural antibiotics and salicylic acid from aspen were found. This indicates the use of plants as anti-inflammatory agents by ancient people, proving their knowledge of medicine. Neanderthals continued to live among us in memories and in our DNA, leaving a significant mark in human history. At that time, Rouar faced an important life choice. She had to choose a companion, which determined her fate. Everyone expected her to choose someone from her own people, but Rouar made an unusual choice. Her choice fell on a strange and weak stranger with dark skin, whom she met in the forest. This stranger became close and dear to her, despite all doubts and difficulties. The main task was to convince Rouar's family to accept this outsider, which proved very difficult. When the family members learned about Rouar's choice, her mother's father, the great bison, spoke words that changed her destiny. He blessed her choice, emphasizing that love is more important than lineage and origin. This unusual love between representatives of different species was so strong that it created a new family. The new family preserved traditions and important knowledge, passing them on to future generations. The story of Rouar and her chosen one became an example of the power of love and overcoming prejudice. A great discovery made by archaeologists in an ancient cave caused admiration. Despite apparent limitations, a stable system of relationships was found there. This system was preserved for many thousands of years, and people returned here annually to perform important rituals and maintain a connection with the spiritual world. The cave likely served as a sacred center for communication with the spirit world, where Neanderthals maintained contact with their ancestors and preserved their memory. Neanderthals had a unique form of connection with their ancestors, manifested in caring for the memory of departed relatives and rituals related to veneration. Rouar, together with her new companion, returned to their native cave. Although her future remained uncertain, she knew she was doing the right thing. Her entire family and the new union confirmed the importance of family values, love, and care that can overcome any boundaries, whether of kin or species.